The Ministry of Energy says it will grant some incentives to lure investors to invest in the renewable energy sector. So far, renewable energy contributes only 1% to the national grid. Deputy Minister of Energy, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, at the 3rd Annual Ghana Renewable Fair, stated the desire of government to shore up the contribution of renewable energy to 15% of the national energy mix.
Electricity currently reaches 85% of the population, with 15% of the rest in darkness. According to the Ministry of Energy, several of these areas will be too expensive to reach with power. As a result, renewable energy sources will be used. But the question remains how wide the coverage of renewable energies are in the country. Less than 1% of renewable energy is fed into the national grid. By 2020, it is expected to reach some 10%. Deputy Minister of Energy, Mohammed Amin, says the current Renewable Energy Act will not be enough to push for this agenda.
We have identified a number of challenges that have constrained the actual realization of renewable energy power plants. And some of these constraints, which were identified at the time the Renewable Energy Act was passed, must be addressed in order to ensure the full realization of the potential before us. Government is determined to amend the Act to further address some of these outstanding constraints and also to provide opportunity for including competitive tendering procurement of renewable energy as a provision in this Act.
Renewable energy will be highly dependent on for the One Village, One Dam program, and more incentives will be required, according to the Deputy Minister of Energy, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam.
One of these incentives is the obligatory purchase, provision. By obligatory purchase provision, it means that you may not even need a power purchase agreement to be able to sell the power you produce from renewable sources. It is a law. The Renewable Energy Act provides that once you produce, from renewable energy, the off-taker or distributor of power, ECG in our case, must buy it. Okay, that is one incentive. The other incentive is the import exemption on the materials that are brought in for assembling renewable energy solutions. That is another important. And then we also have the feed-in tariff. The feed-in tariff is the tariff that is set above the normal cost of power from conventional sources.
An MOU signed with the government of Germany will be one of the several government-to-government and private sector support pushing forward the agenda. So far, the German government has set aside 100 million euros for 2017 to support the private sector to invest in renewable energy.
Germany will commit up to 100 million euros in 2017. The bilateral reform partnership aims at a privately driven expansion of renewable energy in Ghana. Germany and Ghana agreed to focus in particular on strengthening competition in power generation and to make the renewable energy sector a shining example in order to reduce cost of generation, to introduce open and competitive bidding, and to get, in the end, the best value for the money invested.
Still on energy, the ministry says it will cancel past power purchase agreements entered into by the ECG while it postpones others to 2025. These statements were made at the 3rd Renewable Energy Fair organized by the Energy Commission.
In other business, Commissioner of Insurance at the National Insurance Commission, Justice Yawofori, is calling for amendment of the National Insurance Act to include all commercial properties rather than just buildings. The Amendment Act will provide comprehensive provisions for the regulation of the insurance industry and for other related matters. According to him, the current law regulating the industry fails to mention commercial properties for compulsory insurance as specified by the National Insurance Commission. And that's it for business. We'll bring some more business at midday. My name is Emmanuel Apwaji.